Welcome, everybody. I think we are live now. This is the third Just Ask session. Sorry for a bit late. We had some technical difficulties, but we are live now. And today we are here with Pedro and Ruben, and also with Bart, the owner of Rijke. So as you all know, Rijke stands for Great Pork Originates Here. And during these Just Ask live streams, you can ask questions to experts on how to improve your litter performance. Well, last time we talked to Hubert van Hees on piglet feed, and this time we will talk about heating, and we will talk to Pedro and Ruben on how you can create a good micro and macro climate with electrical heating. Because as you might already know, that piglets need 32 degrees temperature to get a good start in life for the newborn piglets, while sows need 18 degrees for an optimum feed intake and to recover for the next farrowing period. So we will talk to Pedro. I will also give a presentation on it, and Ruben is also here. He's the technical engineer on the electrical heating. And later you can ask questions. If you have questions, you can already put them in the post below, and we can answer them later and get them up. Bart, do you have anything to add?
No, not really. I'm really curious. Thank you.
All right, so then I give the floor to Pedro here, and I will share the screen with the presentation. And Pedro, thank you very much for being here. And I will share my screen here, and you can just shout when I have to go to the next slide. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I do.
All right. All right, then if it all works, you can now see the first slide.
Hello, good afternoon to everybody, and thank you very much for your participation on this experience, okay? And ask Pedro Lamapor about the electric heating plates. Okay, go next one, please. Okay, heating, we are talking about always about which one is the right balance, okay? Of course, it means investment, it means energy cost, and of course, performance. We expect always some return, okay? Depending the system we will choose and the criteria to manage this heating system will be more or less profit, of course. It's a permanent interaction between the criteria we use, the regulation, the heater, and the installation, of course. I mean, insulation in the room. Next picture, please. Okay, if we go to Lamapor heating plates, everybody surprised when they touch our heating plates because they are really solid and massive, heavy heating plates. Why we use so heavy units? Lamapor heat pads are made on polymer beton or stainless steel because both materials were old. They are excellent, really excellent water transmissions. I mean, very sensitive, okay? And this helps a lot in running conditions because when they are very sensitive, it means we can make excellent accuracy in regulation, okay? We are talking on this way on real energy savings. Uniform temperatures along the wall surface and easier to achieve the regulate or target temperatures along the complete breath of the animals. The surface is 100% smooth. They are, of course, very easy to clean. Plastic, polymer, and stainless steel are on the same level. They can use it even in hospitals. And of course, there is no porous at all in the top surface. Mm-hmm. So this solid mass has a specific internal layout. It works as a real long-life battery because it interchanges battery, but never steals the energy from piglets. That's an important point to remark, okay? There is always a 10 millimeters internal insulation, and this drives the wall energy to the top surface. Our heating plates, Lamapor heating plates, are always waterproof, even in extreme conditions. Fire resistance, not a slip surface. They are really well protected for electric shocks, against electric shocks. And of course, we manage electric CE certification. Next picture, please. In practice, it's extremely easy to regulate surface target temperatures. Just few watts will be noted and normally measured on the top surface. Can be plugged under maximum power for a long time with no risk for the heating plate itself, okay? Because there is enough power and valid to dry or to preheat the room without any risk, okay? Control units are always needed to dosify this energy. Otherwise, you will burn the piglets. More than heat, you can burn the piglets, okay? It will be too warm. You can cook your piglets on maximum power. In real life, nobody uses plastic radiators at home. Why to use them at the farm? The transmission of the plastic is normally very, very poor. It works when you use a plastic heat plus electric or warm water. It could work as thermos. The warm doesn't go out of the heat plate, so it means the transmission to the piglets is very poor. Piglets love to sleep over the warm pad. It reduces, of course, piglet crashes. And I don't see the last, just common, I don't see the last sentence, but I think it's just common sense, okay? The difference between different materials, of course, is affect always the quality or the speed or the energy transmission, I want to mean. Next screen, please. Electric heating plates for farrowing. We are some images here to remember. We will check. We will look at them very fast. There is two different ambients. Theoretically, because in practice, no many farmers achieve this balance. We try to reduce as much as possible the sow temperature or the room temperature. I mean, both should be between 18 and 20 degrees. And the piglet area, when they should sleep, temperature should be around 30 degrees. It's a reference, okay? It could be a little warmer or cooler, depending the age of the piglets and the room temperature. But it's a reference. Must be 10 degrees difference, even more, so normally. Let's go to the next slide, please. What happened, for example, with red lamps, and this is very real scenario in many farms, okay? The heat is located in a very small surface, round surface, not only close to the sow, but it's not enough space for all the piglets normally. We are working with high prolific sows everywhere, and there is no comfortable, optimal room for all the piglets because the center is very warm. As we can see on the left, small pictures, the center could be on 41 degrees, and just few centimeters far away from the center, the temperature starts to rise down very fast, to drop down, excuse me. And very typical on your right, you can see when the red lamp is too warm, there is even no piglets on the bottom because they cannot support that much warm in the center. Okay, next slide, please. Infrared lamps, everybody knows, and even some farmers use pretty well, but of course they are not easy to manage and to find the right comfort for your piglets, close to the high energy consumption. Next slide, please. Okay, of course, they enjoy some advantage and disadvantage. The only advantage for this system is they are really cheap, but however, it's very short life and high consumption. Next slide, please. Okay. When we talk about the heating plates, of course, there is also advantage and disadvantage. The main advantage will be they are always heavy because they are massive, solid units, okay? All the rest will be advantage. Bigger investment, of course, but everybody agrees that we are comparing two different heating systems. Next slide, please. Of course, when we develop a new heating plate, even in the daily way, to check quality controls and so on, we pay attention on the uniformity of the worm, distribution of the worm, and sensitive of the material to know how many degrees in the water or how many watts in the electricity represents so many degrees in the surface. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, polymer, we produce two, as stated before, we produce two different kind of polymer heating plates, stainless steel and polymer. Polymer will be a little bit cheaper, and they are pretty efficient. It's the oldest product in our company and sold everywhere around the world. Okay, next slide. Beyond the right choice of the heating plate or the heating system, after order confirmation, Lamapor assures the most attractive return of investment, okay? Because Lamapor helps you a complete personalized technical advice, starting from the energy source point at the barn, I mean power calculation, and comes from the energy distribution, recommended circuit components and protectors or protections. We are talking always about the very safe solutions. Of course, it's very important the optimal criteria from the farmer and accuracy of the whole system, based on your own control regulation units to combine the maximum comfort for piglets, minimum energy cost, and for the farmer at any age of the piglet, of course, any climate or any conditions around. Okay, so when we talk about the real consumption criteria or environment or room temperature will affect, of course, at the consumption of the heating plates. Next slide, please.
It's already on next.
Not on my screen. Okay, here it is. If electric heating plates, control units is an important matter, of course. There is several control solutions depending technical or professional level the farmer wants to play. There is manual control units, and intelligent control units. Okay. Manual. What happens with manual? Only human mistakes can happen. With automatic, it's very important to have a witness or master heat pad on the wall in order to read the minimum room temperature and don't lie the system, because could be interferences when piglets are sleeping or milking or in or out versus lying or sleeping on top of the heating plate. And intelligent control unit. This means individual control pad by pad, pen by pen. So it's the most flexible option. And of course, when you are a very good professional farmer, you can not only save energy, but also to get the maximum flexibility to move or to adapt the maximum or the best comfort for piglets, depending if they are illness, health, or they are younger or lighter piglets. You can modify this target temperature pen by pen. Remarks.
Are you going to explain a little bit more about this, Pedro?
Okay, yes, no problem. In normal conditions, there is only one master pad or a witness pad in the wall. Okay, and this reference will be used to manage all the rest of the heating plates at once under the same condition.
Okay. Why is it on the wall?
It is on the wall because the reading temperature will be very different depending if piglets are lie down on top of the heat pad versus milking or walking around or playing around the pen, okay? Because once the heat pad is covered by piglets, this unit will be warmer than the others in the room.
Okay.
Okay, and this difference could be even more than 3 or 4 degrees.
Okay.
Okay, everybody knows the band comfort in the room temperature is between 18 to 22 degrees. So there is 4 degrees band under the maximum comfort conditions. Okay. However, when you need to sleep on top, this band is normally shorter.
Yeah.
Because the feeling in your skin is more on touch than when you are in the air, let's say. Okay.
And when can you use a sensor, Pedro?
When really the heat pad has to be prepared, but the condition is not a limitation. It's not the critical point for this. Everybody can use them. It's more expensive system. It's probably the most expensive because the control units and the electronic unit is even more expensive than the heat pad. But of course, the payback is there.
Yeah.
Because you find on this case the maximum flexibility.
Because
every liter will have right temperature after your control or criteria.
I think one of the reasons customers are interested in the electrical heating is that every heat pad can be arranged or can be controlled individual.
Okay.
So
yes, you are right. It's very attractive. More and more companies are interested on this point. Even there is only a few heat pads producers involved on this criteria, but however, there is more and more ventilation companies trying to develop the right control system for individual management. Advantages are really huge, Bart. But of course, we should make the technical report and analysis to develop and to advise properly.
So if I have a discussion with a customer or a farmer and he wants to have an individual control, and he wants to control every heat pad individually, what do I have to advise him?
Okay, what to advise? The system is more complex, okay, because you need signal and power lines to every heat pad.
Okay, and so every heat pad needs a power line, okay.
And thermal sensor or thermal proof inside of each heating plate. Okay, and sensor cables plus power cable needs independent circuits. They must be separated.
Yeah.
So it's really big investment. So not all.
What kind of possibilities does he have? What kind of possibilities are there to control the heat pads individual?
It can be made normally. This profile of farmers they choose always for stainless steel heat pads. Why? Because it's more sensitive, very low energy consumption, and you get the maximum profit after this huge investment. Okay. Of course, it's possible to make in polymer heat pads, okay, but you are underusing the potential of the control system you are talking about.
I'm talking about the control, yes.
Yes. Okay. So it's more money invested on the control unit and on the control unit and on the heat pad. So why to refuse or why to renounce to this big advantage? Okay. That's the point. So then more intelligent.
I understand there are 3 ways to control the heat pad. It is manual, it is automatic, and it is intelligent. Yeah. Manual is just like a control unit, more or less energy. Yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
There's no sensor.
There is no sensor.
No sensor. Automatic is with your with the ventilation control. So
exactly.
You can put in a sensor for the master heat pad, or you can put in 20 sensors for each heat pad.
Okay.
No, yes, I'm just asking.
On that case, will be very expensive because you need many computers.
besides the price, is it possible?
Is it possible, Ruben, as engineer? What will be the answer? We cannot hear you, remember. Because he's making drawings and developing this kind of systems.
Yeah, we have an additional light, the red light.
Yes, okay, I will translate to you, Art, because his microphone was not working.
Oh, he's using the helpline.
Yeah, we're getting a translated version.
No, I must say, Ruben. Okay. But Ruben is saying that the Gestalt, for instance, has the proper layout and technology to manage heat pads individually.
Yes.
And on that case,
just to explain, this is or I think other suppliers like I don't know, NeedUp or so, they have the sow feeding units.
They do as well. They do as well. Yes.
And they have an input for the sensor and an output to control the heat pad.
Yes, individually, yes. But also Traco and Stienen was trying to develop something like that.
Okay, that's good to know. And the sensor is the probe. The sensor is 12 volt or 24 volt.
Yes, 12 normally.
12, and the heating is 110 or 220 volt, I think. Eh?
Exactly.
Okay.
When 110 only takes longer in order to warm up and achieve the same surface temperature.
So there are three options. Manual is only warm and cold. Automatic is with Stine, Hotraco, Vencom, and you work with the master pad. So you put in the master pad and you heat all the pads in the room. Yeah. And then the intelligent, like Gestal or like NeedUp, who is controlling each and every heat pad per sow, including heating.
Be sure, Bart, that more and more ventilation companies will include this criteria, this option on their systems, because more and more farmers are demanding this option.
Yeah. And can I also measure the consumption of the heat pads?
Yes, but and you can use this to promote the system, of course, but you cannot never compare between different farmers, okay? Because there is many factors out of control for you, which are for example ventilation settings, insulation, thermal criteria in the room, when there is piglets or not sleeping on top of the heating plate could affect also the total energy consumption. So there is too many variables that will modify this target. So you cannot sell saying a certain energy consumption food to any farmer because there is too many.
What is the average energy consumption of a heating plate?
Okay, we could say you the in optimal conditions, in laboratory conditions. Okay.
Yeah.
But it will depend mainly on the management, on the criteria. More, we can send to you several reports, real tests on different huge farms, even during long time. Okay, and you will see that there is huge differences. Okay, but of course, under the same criteria, under the same system, under the same philosophy, depending you use plastic heat pads or red lamps or polymer heat pads or stainless steel, the consumption will be really different. Okay, because the transmission will be different as well.
Okay. But can you tell us something about how many watts per square meter they are using?
Yeah, yes, of course. The other question. A ver, 1 second. Ruben?
I also hear there's a guest in this stream. I don't know how it happened, but maybe he also has a question. I see Willie here.
Esto en Polímero. Ruben? He knows. Okay. Bart, in stainless steel, will be 100 watts per square meter.
100 watts per square meter.
Real energy. Okay.
And in polymer, what is it? How much is it in
polymer beton will be, depending also many factors, okay? But could be 25, 30% higher than stainless steel. Could be, I say. Yeah?
No, the lamp, to make it sure, to make it realistic, a lamp uses 150 or 175 watts. Yeah, a heating pad polymer uses the same amount of energy for 1 square meter.
Okay, but you...
Oh, yes or no? I don't know.
Yeah. It's less for several factors, okay? In one, the red lamp never achieve 1 square meter, okay? It's less surface. Second, you never stop the infrared lamp. It normally are always working, always turned on, okay? And the heat pad, once it achieves the right temperature or the running temperature, the target temperature, it stops. And there is no energy consumption anymore. The energy will stay there for a long time, okay? So there is many hours along the day, every 24 hours, without energy consumption on the heat pad. The more piglets are, the longer time are piglets sleeping on top of the heating plate, the lower will be the energy consumption.
So it is the same. It is the same energy consumption as a lamp, or less.
Less, much less.
Okay.
Much less. Okay. 1 second, Rubén, ¿me decías? Red lamp energy consumption will be normal, minimum, double than the heat pad.
Okay.
Versus polymer, eh? Versus polymer. So the payback is guaranteed. Eh?
So one more question. Sorry, I just called a colleague of mine, and he said, "What do I need to tell the company who is going to install the heat pads? What kind of information do they need?
We need to know
what materials do they need?"
Okay, we need a drawing of a plant drawing from the farm. We need to know if they decide for polymer or stainless steel, if they go for warm water or electric. We need the dimensions. We need to know if they work per bands, weekly bands or 3 weeks bands or something like that, in order to calculate the power used at once at the same time. Okay, and then we will with those data we prepare the complete technical report to the farmer. We do this all for free after order confirmation.
So we supply a report to the installer how to install it and how many energy he needs.
So we try everywhere around the world. Installation team respects our technical advice, accessories, components, and layout.
Okay.
Because it's really important to succeed in the market. Eh? They don't know part of the info, and we know how to manage.
All right.
I see there's
Cheyenne, sorry to interrupt so long.
Oh, no worries. I see that I can see one guest here, that is Willie. Willie, do you have a question?
And you have more slides, I think. Huh?
I can see Willie
again, we
here.
can follow with the
Willie, do you have a question? No, Willie has no question. All right, then I will share the screen again.
Cheyenne, hoor je wat hij vraagt?
Coffee time.
Do I have to?
No, I don't think so.
The screen?
Cheyenne, ben je daar nog?
Ja, ik ben er nog.
Uh-oh.
If everybody,
Hello?
if someone in the presentation has more questions, please.
Willie, do you have a question?
This moment.
Willie? No, I don't think.
Willie, I see you there or not?
Yep.
Do you have a question for Pedro?
Well, not really. Did Pedro ever hear of anything from Jaga that they've got that harmonic system? So they are wanting to run each heat plate individually without using any sensors.
No, no. It's like you cannot travel to Europe without a plane or a ship.
Yeah, I don't understand how they're going to do it either. For that job at the University of Guelph, I'm thinking that we better put holes in it for probes just in case in the future they do add probes.
Okay.
Sensor.
Do you not agree with that, Bart?
Yeah.
I think we better be ready. We better be ready for probes because I don't understand how they can run individual heat mats without sensors on each one. That just doesn't make sense to me.
Of course. If farmer wants individual sensor, we need to prepare a specific heat pads with a hole where insert the sensor for every pen.
Yeah.
But it's specific. It's not very common at the moment in the world. There is more and more farmers. The biggest ones and the most professional farmers are starting to demand. And for them, we prepare specific heat pads. But normally, if you look at on the market, nobody is considering this as a standard solution. It's the top down.
But if they want it, then if they want to have it, then we can prepare a specific hole for the probe, the sensor. But it is Willie's question is it possible to control each heat pad individually without a probe, without a sensor?
No, it's impossible.
Because there is one controller supplying energy, the same amount of energy to all the heat pads.
No. You need at least one sensor proof to control the whole room. This one will be inserted on the master or the witness heat pad. If you want to go to the individual control unit, this master pad is not anymore in the room, but the sensor will be needed on each pad, close to the piglets. Otherwise, you cannot control them individually. It's impossible.
Yeah, I think it's clear. Yeah.
I agree, but somehow they're figuring on doing it. Right, Bart? Hey, Bart, no, you're right. They wanted, I'm not sure how they're going to do it, but they say Jega's got some kind of algorithm or whatever you want to call it that'll control these things. Remember, Bart, you were talking about that? They do not want sensors in each pad, but I think we better have it so that we have the hole there so they're ready for it.
Okay, we can prepare all the heat pads in order to include the sensor, the thermal proof in the future as second stage, let's say, okay?
That's right.
But must be prepared in the factory.
Yes.
Not afterwards. You cannot make any hole now afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. We better put the hole there so it's ready to go. And then when you do put a probe in there, do you glue it in there or silicone it in there, or how do you keep it in?
Yes, there is a specific mass. There is a silane products to close properly and to be waterproof. Hermetic closing. Okay, there is several products you can use.
So that's right.
To seal around the sensor proof.
So you guys don't normally get the probes from the certain companies and install them. You're always just leaving a hole.
Exactly. We just leave the hole, and normally the ventilation company or the feeding company or the electronic company will supply the sensor.
Yeah.
And you supply the closing of the hole.
If needed, yes, we can. It's very standard. It's very common product. It exists everywhere around the world.
Okay. No. Okay. Fair enough.
Thank you very much for answering. Yes? Can you hear me?
Kun je jou niet horen?
Oh.
Looks like we have lost Cheyenne.
No, I'm here.
The organizer of all of this.
Too long for head.
I'm here.
I think somebody is really nervous at the other end of the line. All right. So if an installer asks for information, we have to give him the plan of the design of the farm and the amount of plates and which kind of heating plates. Oh, Cheyenne is back, she says. So that's what we have to do. The controlling, there are three ways to control, and individual controlling is difficult because it's only you need a sensor. So if there's an alternative, we have another Just Ask session, but it's not now. All right.
Okay.
Any more questions?
To be clear on this point, we can supply. We are manufacturing heat pads with 5 years full warranty. Okay, in normal conditions, of course. But the management is always depending of the quality of the layout and the right calculation, okay? And of course, if the farmer has higher expectations, then we need to prepare the hole for the future inserting of the roof.
Yeah. Okay, Cheyenne just asked me. There's a technical thing. She can listen and she can hear us, but she can see us, but she is not able to join us anymore somehow.
Okay.
I have one more question, Pedro, regarding your competition. For instance, in Canada, there's a competition. There are electrical heat pads, but also in Holland there are electrical heat pads. What is the biggest advantage of your heat pads towards them? Why is your
lower energy consumption? That's for sure. Okay, because the warmth transmission is much better in our materials. And our heat pads never old.
I think there's an even better one, because all the other electrical heat pads are on top of the floor, and your heat pad is in the floor, is integrated, and this is hygiene-wise much more interesting than to put it on top of the sleds, which is difficult to clean.
Of course.
So I think that's an interesting point to have a look at.
Yes, of course. You cannot clean that so easy the dirty between the floor and the heat pad, of course.
Yeah. And I think another important thing to say is that if the amounts of heat pads are big, you told me that you can put, the electricity cord, where you can move the electricity cord wherever we want if the amount is bigger. So we have seen some issues that the cord is exactly on top of a beam, for instance.
Okay.
So
yes.
in polymer, we can move it to the outside or to make it fit.
Yes.
Nice.
So the farmer or the designer of the farm can decide if they want the exit in the bottom, in the top surface, in the front, in the side, left or right. Okay. Or they want really a hole in order to be flexible for different kind of paints.
And if you have a heat pad on top of it, it's always on the same spot, so it's difficult to match in your floor.
Of course. And close to this, it's important to know that cable can be made always on demand, and also the stainless steel resort, which is protecting the cable against biting or possible breaks.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And this protection can be made also on demand.
Oh, yeah, the protection is a stainless steel spring, huh? Yeah,
exactly.
All right. Cheyenne has asked me to close the session if we are there. I do not know if there are any more questions at this moment.
Okay, part of the presentation is still pending for the near future, I hope.
Yeah, Cheyenne says there are no questions on Facebook at this time. So Pedro and Ruben it is.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Thank you very much for this introduction. It has been recorded, so we can use it again. And I really appreciate your time and your explanation. When we have more questions, we will definitely get back to you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for this opportunity and for your time and attention, of course.
Okay, we'll speak to each other soon.
Okay, thank you.